Hi everyone, welcome to Everything I Consumed in 2026. There are going to be a few different categories like books, movies, etc. I'm just going to put each category in its timestamp in the description so you can jump ahead if you want to, but we're going to start with books. So this year in 2026, I've read 2 books, which is a little less than what I wanted to, but it is what it is. The first one is The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. I am giving this book a 3.6 stars out of 5. It was a tough book to start. I gave up on it once just because it was hard to follow along, all the different characters from the jump, but after a few months, I picked it up again to give it another chance, and I think for what it's worth, a lot of the themes throughout the book, which I don't want to spoil, was very relevant to my life at the time that I read it. And so I did finish the book and I did enjoy it. However, I did feel like the writing style was kind of mid. This book is an epistolary, which means it's a book written with letters. So it follows main character Sybil Van Antwerp, who is a 73-year-old woman. She's a retired lawyer. She lives on her own, and you can kind of see her life through her letters that she writes and also the letters that she receives from her family, her friends, neighbors, etc. The reason why I didn't enjoy it as much as I could have is because of the writing. I think in certain parts of the book, the voice of the letters didn't change much from Sybil, who is the main protagonist, to her daughter who is writing her. The letters sounded like they were written in the same style, even though those are 2 different people. It just felt like, good idea, but maybe poor execution. The next book I read is Strangers by Belle Burden. I gave this book a 3.7, so a little bit higher than the last one, just because it is a memoir and I love memoirs. So this was already right up my alley. However, this book contains a lot of privilege because it is about Belle Burden's life, who is, I guess you could say, a socialite in New York City. A lot of what she recounts about her marriage, which is the main focus of the book, has a lot to do with her privileged experiences living in New York. I think this kind of story only exists in this bubble of privilege. I would recommend it to someone who likes memoirs and might be interested in learning more or peering into the lives of rich people. Next, we're headed into the movies that I've watched so far in 2026. A quick disclaimer, I'm not really a movie girly. I can't remember half of the movies that I watch. So that's to say, I've never been one to enjoy movies, but the movies that I've watched this year have been so good, so impressive. Let's get right into it. Marty Supreme. I would give this movie a 4.8. I thought it was very relevant to my life at the time. It just offered this perspective of grinding for your passions and brought up this question of how much are you willing to sacrifice for what you love or for what you want. I thought that was very powerful, and the movie was exciting and exhilarating, so that was a 4.8. The next movie I watched was Sinners. I'm giving this movie a 4.7 stars. This is one of those movies that I would not watch again, but I will think about for the rest of my life. I think it was very gruesome, which I don't enjoy, but the goriness and the gruesomeness of it all was very necessary to the storyline. Yeah, that one's gonna stick with me forever. I just wouldn't watch it again, so that's why it's a little lower than Marty Supreme, which I would watch again. Next on my list is Frankenstein, also another Oscar nominee and winner. I think they won for Best Costume and Makeup. I'm giving this one a 4.2. This was a fun watch with friends. We watched it in my living room. This movie I would not watch again, but the costumes were fun. The storyline was fun. Next on my list is It Ends With Us, which I saw on Netflix a couple of weeks ago. I know this movie has been out for a little while and there's been some controversy surrounding it. I've read the book maybe a year or 2 ago and I loved it. It made me cry, but I didn't like like the acting that much, and it took away from the storyline a bit, so it was a bit distracting. So I give it a 3.8. And lastly, I watched the drama. I'm giving it a 4.5 stars because it was a very fun watch. This is also one of those movies that had a very nuanced storyline that stays with you. And I would probably watch it again with my friends so we could discuss the themes and dive a little deeper into our own morals and ethics. I highly recommend. The next category is series that I've watched this year. So I've watched a lot on Netflix, on Hulu. I'm just gonna have it roll through on the screen because there are quite a few. This is the medium that I consume the most. I just like to have it playing in the background while I'm washing my dishes, cleaning my room. Also when I'm eating, it's an easy watch. But there is an honorable mention that I want to share with you all in case you haven't seen it yet. Blue Therapy. This is a Netflix show following couples in the UK. They are basically in their couples therapy sessions on your TV. This is very similar to Couples Therapy, which is another couples therapy show on Paramount Plus that I think I like a little bit more. The therapist, Orna, I really like her style and the way that she engages with her patients. I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, at least not in my friend circles, so 10 out of 10, recommend. We're moving on to my favorite category, cozy games. I've been dying to tell somebody, well, actually I've been telling all of my friends this, but my most favorite cozy game that I'm playing right now is Moonstone Island. I've put about 35 hours to this game and I'm about 40% through. The best way I can describe it would be like a crossover between Stardew Valley and Pokemon. It's basically a creature collecting life sim where you go around in an open world and explore different islands. When you encounter the creature or the spirits, you get to interact with them by dueling cards. It's so fun. I'm so addicted. I cannot stop and I cannot stop talking about it. So this is my current obsession. Another game I've played this year is Discounty. I would give this game a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It is a very cozy, addictive game. However, I think it's lacking in a bit of depth. I feel like the developers could have expanded the story a little bit more or added more elements to the gameplay. There's just so much potential there. Next on my list is We Were Here Friendship. So this is part of the We Were Here series. I've played every single one of their games. I think it's a little shorter than the others, but the puzzles are just as good, just as hard. It took me just as long to get through them. Highly recommend. And lastly, Outlanders, another one of my favorite cozy games. If they kept coming out with levels, I'll just play this for the rest of my life. I don't need anything else. This one is more of a town building strategy game. I played this game on my iPad because I had the free trial for Apple Arcade. It was so fun and addictive that I had to get it on my Steam Deck, and now I think I've completed almost all the levels. I downloaded the DLCs, finished all those levels, and now I'm just waiting for more levels to come out. Top tier game. You can't talk about consumption without talking about food. There's so many things that I ate, obviously, in 2026, but there's one thing that I have to tell you about. And if you are in New York City, you need to add this place to your itinerary. It's frozen yogurt from Madison Fair. This is the best frozen yogurt I've ever had in my life. It is the perfect amount of tartness, the perfect amount of sweetness. The purees that they use are top tier. I have been thinking about it every day since I tried it for the very first time. I went back a few days later to try another puree flavor. It's just something that I feel like everyone needs to experience, and that's why it's made it onto this list. I wasn't even gonna include food, but this one I had to. Last but not least, I wanted to share my plans for the future and what I hope to consume and do in the next few months. So first things first, I do want to read more books. I only read 2 this year, and I kind of want to aim for at least 1 book a month. More is obviously better. If you have any recommendations on what I should read, please drop it in the comments below. I want to continue prioritizing my health. I do have exciting content coming out very soon. I am trying to do these lifestyle challenges such as drink only water for 30 days type of things. Maybe I'll try to be vegetarian or try to walk 10,000 steps a day. Last goal is to spend more time outdoors. Now that the weather is getting warmer, we're heading into spring and summer. I really want to make sure that my mental health is in the right space, and I think to do so is to spend more time outdoors. This was very fun to film. I will try to do one of these every month or every quarter. Feel free to share what you've consumed so far in 2026, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!